I do want to ask that you make sure you keep yourself muted while we're on, so that the call is clear. We want to make sure that we can hear this amazing presenter that we have on this afternoon, evening, morning on the call, and that there's no interference. And of course, when we share out the recording, that everything is clear. I want to make sure I'm going to have them wave so you can see. If you didn't have a virtual call with some of us, our faces are new to you. So I just want to briefly just introduce our names. That's all we're going to do. At orientation, you'll get the full-fledged spiel. But just first off, I just started talking and then introduced myself. So I am so sorry. My name is Latrina Artist, and I am the Scholar Grant Program Director at Rankin Foundation. And I'm going to toss it over to Breezy to introduce herself.
Hi, excuse me. My name is Breezy Barcelo, and I am one of the Scholar Support Specialists. You probably heard from me already if you're a new or renewal scholar.
Toss it, Breezy.
Sorry, go ahead, Lori.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lori Smoker, and I am one of the Tribal Scholar Support Specialists. I'm from Montana.
And I don't see our other person. Where are you, Tiana? I don't see you. Is she still on? I don't see her.
I think she lost reception.
Okay, so we actually have Tiana, as I think she's mobile, so she's kind of in the car. So as she's moving, she may lose reception. But we have Tiana Hudak is on as well. She's another one of our tribal scholar specialists. I will introduce our presenter here in just a second, but we do have a few of the Synchrony team members that are on. We're joined with Dimples. We have Priya. You want to introduce yourself?
Good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Priya Thakur. I've been with Synchrony for about 6 years now and associated with Rankin Foundations for about 2-ish years at this point. And I'm very happy, very glad to be in your company, and look forward to these summer learning sessions where we get to share some interesting topics that might be beneficial for you in your journey. Thank you.
Thanks, Priya. And we have Dimples. Dimples, you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Dimples Williamson. I also work for Synchrony Financial and work with Priya on this wonderful program. And I'm also a board member, so I get to work with Breezy and Latrina. So happy to be here. And I hope this is as enriching for you all as it is for us.
Yes. And before we introduce the speaker for today, just want to really just at the top of this meeting, thank Synchrony for all that you do for the amazing scholars and for the Rankin Foundation. That's right, Angelina. Angelina, yes, heart it up, clap it up, snap it up, dance it up, however you want to thank them. Do whatever you feel, whatever makes your heart happy. I mean, this year, they're awarding scholar grants to 40 national scholars and then 30 tribal scholars. And many of the renewals that may be on have been recipients of laptop computers. So that's something that they have done. And we are excited this year to be able to do that again because of the generous donations from Synchrony for the laptop and keyboard combos this semester. And of course, Resiliency Fund. Many of you have been able to receive from the Resiliency Fund. That has been by part of the amazing partnership that we have with Synchrony. So I'm telling you, and just them even giving of these sessions, this is the third year, right? I believe that we've done these sessions each year. So with that being said, I want to introduce, our speaker. She'll be able to go ahead and share on what, anything else she would like to share. But who is going to be presenting to us today is Alex Scott. She is AVP. Fair lending within the compliance organization at Synchrony. She has been with Synchrony for 16 years and started out as a call center associate, supporting the Care Credit credit card. Throughout her time with Synchrony, she has held various leadership positions within the company's employee resource group, including the Hispanic Network Plus and the Indigenous Network Plus. Currently, she leads the continuous learning pillar for the Indigenous Network Plus, which is dedicated to the personal and professional growth within IN Plus members. I'm assuming that's Indigenous, but I don't want to make an assumption wrong. She can correct me on this. She also has held multiple Toastmasters officer roles and has a BA in history from Arizona State University. So where one of our other tribal scholar specialists is. So without further ado, yep, Tiana is giving up some bells, and Lori, I will now turn it over into the hands of Alex.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Latrina. And that was correct. IN Plus is our Indigenous Network Plus. We like to put in acronyms anywhere we can here at Synchrony. But thank you so much for having me here today. I really appreciate, you guys thinking of me to come in and share this with you guys today. But I am located out here in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a little warm out here. So I'm just trying to stay cool from the heat. It sounds like we're all over the world on here. Is that right? Yeah.
National.
Yeah,
We're
I think
national.
so. I normally tell them to put in the chat, behind their names. And if you haven't done that, and normally what I do is tell you to put your state, where you're from. So if you know how to rename yourself, that'll give Alex an opportunity to see where we are chiming in from. And I didn't add this, so let me say this. If you have questions as Alex is going through, please feel free to utilize the chat, okay? So that we can, she's willing to answer those questions as we go through.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if, oh, here we go. Here's the chat. Okay, I got it now. Are we all able to see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, great. So today I'm going to actually cover networking with you. As Latrina mentioned, I have been with Synchrony for 16 years. And so every time I've discussed networking, it's always been related to how we do it here at Synchrony. And so I'm going to share a little bit about that with you, but hopefully, what I share today can apply to some of the things that happen outside of Synchrony and some of the different techniques you can use for networking. So let's go ahead and get started. Just a quick agenda where I'll go over, what is networking, why it's important, how to network, different types of networking channels. We'll do a little activity and then close it out with the summary and Q&A. So what is networking? So in its simplest terms, the definition of networking is the process of exchanging information and ideas among professionals to expand their connections, discover job opportunities, and stay informed about industry developments. I think there may be some background noise out there. I don't know if I'm the only one who's hearing it.
No, that's correct, Alex. If it sounds like some type of truck or something. So if that's you, can you please mute out? I can't see it, Breezy and Tiana.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm trying to find it. Yeah.
They muted themselves. They muted
wonderful.
themselves.
Thank you.
Perfect. One of the key things that really stands out to me with this definition is connections. And we'll go a little bit more into this, but one of the things to keep in mind with networking and to consider as we kind of go through this content is the connections piece of it. It's not just about building professional relationships or just about trying to find a way to grow your career. It's really about building genuine connections and genuine relationships, throughout your professional career. Some of these folks can become mentors, they can become sponsors for you, they can become, true friends that you carry for your entire life. So it's really important to remember that as we kind of go through some of this content, is that it's really about creating those genuine, authentic connections and relationships. So why is it important? There's actual research that shows that the stronger your network is, it does lead to higher salaries and promotions. So there is that direct correlation there. Again, I mentioned genuine connections, genuine relationships. These are some folks that you may keep, hold those relationships dear to you for your entire career, your entire lifetime. It's a great way to share knowledge within an industry, within your specific organization. It's a great way to bounce ideas off of each other. It's a great way to share knowledge within a specific industry, or like I mentioned, within your specific organization. And that kind of leads to giving back to others. So it's not just about what you can get out of the relationship, it's about how you can contribute to somebody else's career journey as well. And that all helps with your overall career growth. As mentioning previously, leads to higher salaries, higher promotions, and that's established, over your overall career growth. And then ultimately, it's an investment in you. And we'll talk a little bit more about this a little later, but it's really about investing not only in your career growth, but again, in those relationships that you're building, those people that you're keeping close to you. Any questions so far? Nope. Okay.
No, I don't see any in the chat.
Okay. So how to network? So really you want to think about who it is that you're going to be networking with, who you want to establish relationships with. A great way to start networking, especially if you haven't done it in a while, is to reach out to your dormant ties. Dormant ties are those people who maybe you haven't connected with in a couple of years, maybe old colleagues, maybe folks that maybe you went to school with, or maybe that you met through other networking initiatives or conferences, things like that. Somebody that maybe you haven't spoken to in a while is a great way to just get back into it. Reach out to them, send them a quick message just saying, hey, it's been a minute, how have you been? Just want to check in, see how things are doing. It's also a great way to bounce ideas off of somebody else. You're already comfortable with this person, so you're more than likely able to bounce those ideas around, really get advice, especially if you're looking at going into a specific role or a specific organization, or a specific industry. It's a great way for you to make those connections again. Another thing to consider as you're trying to figure out, who to network with, who to reach out to, is really consider all levels within an organization. Sometimes, we seem to think that in order to network, we have to network with somebody who is a senior leader, somebody who we think is really going to take our career to the next level, or is really going to help us to get a promotion or to get into that next level. But that's not always the case. You want to make sure that you are networking with folks that are maybe at your same level, peers of yours. That goes into kind of what lateral networking is. It's a great way for you to, again, connect with people that are at your same level. The other thing too is you don't know who your next boss is going to be. You could enter into an organization, go through training with somebody, and that person that you're training with could end up being your next boss, or they could be your boss, a few years from now. That's why this is, again, an investment in you. It's an investment in your future, because you're establishing those relationships early on, because you never know when you can connect with that person again in the future to help you navigate where to go within your career. The other good thing about lateral networking is it really helps you to be able to discover different areas within the organization you work for, or different areas within a specific industry. I know specifically here at Synchrony, we're a very large organization with different departments, different functions. And so one of the things that I always recommend with our development group is that when you are networking, to consider networking with maybe folks that are at your same level, but in a different department or a different function, because that's going to allow you to be able to learn something new about the business that maybe you didn't know before. And it's really eye-opening to understand, what else is out there within the organization, different career opportunities, but also to be able to give you more knowledge to understand how your role then ties into that specific role or that department or that function. So it's really crucial that when you're networking, don't just focus on those senior leaders or upper management. Really look at some of the folks that are your peers and at your own same level. And then make sure your network is diverse. Again, that really helps. Again, like if you're looking at areas within a different function or a different organization, or even if you're looking at an industry and you're looking at different departments within a specific industry, it's good to be well rounded and to share knowledge. Again, it's all about that knowledge sharing and to understand different functions and how they all interact together. And that, the more informed you are, the better you are to create those lasting relationships and really have that network. So a diverse network is really crucial when you're trying to figure out, who do I network with and who do I reach out to? Now, as you're starting to think about your actual networking session, whether it's going to a conference and you're going to be networking with other people, or you reached out to somebody and you're going to have a one-on-one session, or you're having coffee with somebody that you may have reached out to, there are some things that you want to do to prepare ahead of time. The first one is reaching out. And I put that on there on purpose. I mean, it seems obvious, right? But I know, like for me specifically, I used to have this misconception about networking. It used to feel very transactional to me. I would feel like I'm only doing this to take advantage, or it didn't feel right to me. And so I had to change my mindset about what networking really is and understand that it's not just about what I can get from that person, but what I can contribute to them as well. Again, it's about creating a genuine relationship with somebody. Once I shifted that mindset a little bit, it made it a little bit easier for me to just take that first step, rip off the Band-Aid, and just reach out to somebody. And you can do that in various ways. Email is one, a direct message if you're doing it online through LinkedIn or Instagram. We'll go a little bit more about that a little later. But there are various ways to do it, especially within our organization. We use Microsoft Teams here. So sometimes it's easy just to reach out to somebody and send them a quick ping and say, hey, my name is Alex, I'd be really interested in kind of more about what you do or what your department does. Do you mind if I set up a quick 15 minutes? And sometimes it's that simple, just sending a quick message and then setting up that meeting. When you're reaching out to somebody to set up some time with them and request their time, make sure that you are direct about what it is that you're requesting. That's really important. You're asking somebody to take time out of their day to connect with you. And we all know that, time is not finite. It's they're infinite. It's something that we definitely need. I'm sure every one of us could use a little bit of extra time. So it's really important to be conscientious of that and be very considerate of somebody else's time. So as you're making these requests, just be direct. Let them know upfront exactly what it is that you're reaching out for, what it is that you're asking for. And sometimes that can go a long way. One thing you can do as well when you're reaching out to them for the very first time, or if you've established that, we're going to set up some time and you set up either a meeting invite, especially if it's in a virtual environment, is try sending them a quick bio about you, like a one-pager, just explaining who you are, your name, your picture, what your mission is, what your accomplishments are, just explaining exactly what it is that you're seeking, being direct about that message. Try sending them that one pager, just explaining who you are. And that gives them the opportunity to be able to read it before your networking session. I think we may, is there a question out there? No? Okay. So sometimes that's always good too. And then it allows them, to see your picture, get to see who you are before they actually come in to meet you or to have that virtual session or whatever it may be. And most importantly, research. If you can research who this person is ahead of time, if it's like a one-on-one session, definitely do that. research them on LinkedIn, or if they have an Instagram that's out there, research them on there. If it's within your organization, with us, one of the platforms that we use is called Workday. And we can see somebody's profile on there. We can even, if they've elected to put their their resume up there, we can see that information. It's a great way to allow you to establish, what questions you'll ask during that one-on-one session, and it'll be very specific to who they are. It really shows that, you really put in a lot of effort for that networking session to be able to understand exactly who they are and what it is that you're seeking from them. One other thing, I was listening to a podcast a couple weeks ago on networking, and one person, I think that this is such a great idea. They said that before they reach out to somebody, or even before, like maybe they attend a conference for a specific business or organization that they know is going to be there, they will listen to their quarterly earnings call, because you can learn a lot about a company's quarterly earning during those quarterly earnings call. And he'll pick out, some tidbits or some things that interested him, and he'll put that in his email before he reaches out to somebody. He'll say, "Hi, my name is so and so, I'd like to set up some time with you. I listened to the quarterly earnings call and I thought it was really interesting about X, Y, and Z, and I'd like to discuss this further with you." And I thought that was at, and be able to really use that information to am I coming through okay?
Yes, you are now. It had went out just for a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got a message telling me that my internet was unstable, so I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, going back to that, so quarterly earnings call, those are great ways to learn more about a company or more about a business, as well as using some of that information to interact with somebody and set up some time to really establish a networking session and establish those relationships. Now, during a networking session, small talk. I hate small talk. It is so difficult for me sometimes, especially at like a conferencing session, or if I'm going to a conference. Sometimes it's difficult for me. I get in my head, I start, I get that imposter syndrome, and I start thinking, I don't belong here. I don't know if I should be here. And it really messes with my confidence. So I have to shift my mindset, give myself a little bit of a pep talk before I'm going to be in a setting like that, to really prep myself up, and really be able to go out there and, communicate and use some of that small talk. It's an important step. Small talk is important. It's important to be able to establish a foundation with somebody. It's that first perception that you have of somebody. It really leans into your personal brand, which is a completely different, topic that we could spend all day talking about as well. But it's really, really important to establish that small talk. It really makes the other person feel more comfortable. I know for me, once I get into it and I really lean into it, it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. It helps you to be able to establish some commonalities with that other person, to be able to talk to them about, what interests you, what interests them, things like that. Just simple as talking about the weather, like I said, Phoenix, I live in Phoenix. It's super hot. It's always something to chat about with folks as you're kind of entering into a call, or you're having that virtual one-on-one. We just came off a holiday weekend, just asking people about what they did for the holiday, what they did for 4th of July, what their weekend was like. It's really important to be able to establish that. And it shows that you really care and you're interested in who that person is. It goes back to that being genuine and being authentic. From there, you can lead into a quick elevator pitch. It doesn't have to be super detailed. It can be something as quick as, your name, the organization you work for, specifically what you do. It can be something quick and easy. It allows you guys to establish, again, a quick introduction into who you each are. And then you can go into asking your questions. Now, when you're asking questions, that's why the research is so important, especially if you have time to prepare ahead of time. You know who you're going to meet ahead of time. If you've established like a one-on-one session, whether it's virtual or in person, doing that research really allows you to establish what questions you're going to ask. It makes it meaningful. It really drives home to, what your objective is for meeting with that person. If it's a more of a conference setting, you don't know necessarily who you might be meeting ahead of time, having some standard networking questions ahead of time can always help with that. Or asking open-ended questions about the conference itself, what they found interesting, things like that. Really think about asking open-ended questions as well. You don't want to ask questions where there's going to be a yes or no response. So you really want to make sure that there are questions that are going to be very thought-provoking, that are going to allow you to continue that conversation with that person. And make sure you have a call to action. If this is a person that you want to continue having a discussion with, or you want to continue having, check-ins with, or have a further discussion with, especially if you meet somebody at a conference, definitely consider a call to action. If you're talking about a topic that really interests you, or they're in a specific role that really interests you, it's always good to say, hey, I'd love to discuss this with you further once we're back home. Do you mind if I send you a quick email and set up a quick 15-minute chat with you? A great way to end the conversation, but also to make sure that they've agreed to that touch point with you, and that you'll continue that conversation. That leads into the actual nurturing part of the relationship, which is a key aspect, right? Creating the relationship, establishing a relationship.
You went out again, Alex. If you can hear us. Priya or Dimples, are y'all able to ping her?
Yes, let me ping her real
Up
quick.
another time.
Okay, you're
Oh,
back,
she's
Alex.
back.
Alex, we lost you again just for a second.
Oh no, I don't know what is going on. Can you hear me? You can hear me okay?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's
Okay.
okay.
So after following up, it's really important to follow up, especially if there was a call to action and you agreed to meet again at another time. Make sure you follow up, make sure you send a quick email. Even if you didn't have a call to action, there's somebody that you really want to stay connected with if you met them at a conference, or if it's after a one-on-one session, thank them for their time at the very least, right? Again, time is something that I think we all wish we had more of, and it's really important to be considerate of that. So at least thank them for the time that they took to spend with you, to chat with you, and you can put your call to action in that follow-up if you didn't do it beforehand. The follow through and the taking the action are kind of important as well, making sure that you're following through, especially if let's say you were chatting and you promised to send them over a document, or to share an article, or to share a podcast post, or anything like that. Make sure you follow through with that, and send them whatever it is that it may be, and take any type of action that you may have agreed upon. So if you guys did agree, yeah, let's set up, 15 minutes or 30 minutes next month to chat again. As soon as you have the opportunity, within 24 to 48 hours, if you can, send them that invite, that email invite, or a direct message, whatever it may be. Make sure you take that action, you set up that time with them. And then consistency. This is a big one for nurturing that relationship once it's been established. You want to make sure you're consistent. If you've agreed to maybe set up time to meet once a quarter, if you can, set that up ahead of time. Be consistent about it and make sure you show up. There's nothing more frustrating than, setting up time with somebody and then they cancel or they reschedule and they do it continuously. That's not the type of consistency we want. We want it to be consistent, where you're showing up, you're there, and you're continuously meeting with them or nurturing that relationship. And that, again, that consistency piece speaks to your personal brand. You know, it shows who you are as a person, it speaks to the brand overall, and it shows whether or not, you know, they would introduce you to their network. So once you have one person that you've networked with, they have their own network that they can then connect you with. And that's what networking is all about, is really being able to establish relationships and connections with multiple people, because each one of your person within your network has their own network, and that person has their own network, and you know, then that just opens up the door for you. But you want to make sure you are consistent and you follow through, you take action, and you really have a great personal brand, because that's what's going to help you overall. Alrighty, any questions out there?
Hi, Alex. Thank you for
Hi.
presenting today.
Yeah.
So my question, going back to the before on the have a bio or a one pager ready to kind of warm up the outreach. What format do you suggest for a bio or a one pager? Do you just tag it onto the email? Is it an attachment?
Yeah, that's a great question. I prefer PowerPoint. I just, because you can do so much with PowerPoint, right? You can design it really nice. And then yeah, I generally will put that as an attachment, especially if it's an established person that I kind of know. You know, from that one pager, we can create, you know, other pages where maybe we have follow-ups or we have goals to our conversations, things like that. It's like a document that we can share between each other. But outside of that, yeah, I think PowerPoint is the best option, in my opinion. You know, just saving that as a PDF and sending it over to them so that way they have it.
Okay, so is this basically like kind of taking what you might put in a resume, I guess, and kind of putting it in a PowerPoint format? Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, kind of. It's a bio about you, so it's really anything that you want to share. Generally your picture, of course, your maybe your job title, a description of kind of what you do, or your own biography. You know, at the beginning of the call, my bio was kind of shared, something like that. Maybe a list of accomplishments. And then, of course, you know, phone number is always a great one to have in their email, your LinkedIn profile link as well. Anything that they can click on to learn more about you is always great to include in there. But yeah, it's just a quick biography about who you are, what you do, and what your accomplishments are. Anything that you want them to know about you. And then, of course, what your ask is of that conversation. So whatever it is that you're asking for that conversation, if you are looking to learn more about their department or who they are or anything like that, generally that's, you can put that in there as well. So it's going to be tailored for the specific person that you're meeting with.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Any other questions? No, I don't know if we have any in the chat.
Please,
There is
I have a
one.
question
from
now.
Tanisha.
Okay.
Tanisha says, Alex, what if you're a little rusty in certain areas?
So can you expand a little bit more on that? Like, are you like, is there anything like specific of like what specific areas you're referring to?
Ashley gave a great tip. She said, practice at home with family.
Yeah, so if you're a little rusty in that area, like the conversational piece of it, right? Especially like the small talk, like me, you know, I live at, you know, the great thing about Synchrony is that we're at home. For the most part, it's virtual, which is amazing. But that does have its pitfalls where I'm not interacting with as much in person with some folks. And so really it's just my husband and my two dogs that I'm talking to consistently. So if it's something like that, like if conversationally, like having that small talk, if you're a little bit rusty, I think practicing with people at home is a great way to do that. But I think your dormant ties is where that's going to help a lot as well. If you reach out to colleagues that you haven't reached out to in a while, those are great folks for you to kind of practice with, or to get back into the groove with, because they already know you. You already have a trusted relationship with those folks. And so being a little bit vulnerable with them is a little bit easier than, having that vulnerability with somebody brand new. So reaching out to your dormant ties is a great way to do that as well, to get, back into the groove of things.
Okay, I tried to type it, Alex, but it didn't work. So anyway, fine. Let me be bold in Jesus' name and say this. I'm trying to figure out now, by the grace of God, I've made it in the nursing world. I had 5 offers on the table when I started. Thank God for that. But now, the other thing I know that I see, and I thank God for the vision, is my ability to speak. And Breezy noticed about me. One of my ultimate dreams is to do a TED talk. So I'm trying to figure out how would I network and get that accomplished at this point in my life.
I think,
So
and
that's what I mean.
I
That's what I'm talking about when I say I'm rusty in certain areas.
gotcha.
Nursing, no problem. Now it's about
Mhm.
this.
Gotcha. And congratulations, by the way, on those offers. That is amazing. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I will, and I'll mention this a little bit later, but I'm a huge advocate of Toastmasters. Toastmasters for me, it really gave me the courage to get out there and practice my public speaking, and being able to get out there and really just push myself outside of my comfort zone, which I think you have to do. Sometimes you just have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, because it's the only way you're going to grow. And it really helped me to do that. But in conjunction to that, it really helped me to network as well and meet other leaders within our organization that I never would have met otherwise. And because Toastmasters is set up as a way to help you grow, there's feedback, that there's like live feedback that's given to you during Toastmasters. That's the whole purpose of it. Everybody knows that that's what you should be doing when you go into a Toastmaster setting, is really give each other feedback, be open to feedback. Because of that, it really allows you to be vulnerable, but also to accept that feedback as well. And so that's one thing that I would suggest. Anywhere where you can do something like that, I think is a great way to be able to start picking up having those conversations, getting back into having, those conversational techniques, as well as being able to network as well. Also just putting yourself out there, right? I think if you just, go to different events, and we'll talk about different channels you can use for networking, but anywhere you can go where you're going to be able to interact with other people through these professional environments, I think is just a great way to do it. It's just really about really stepping out of your comfort zone and just going out there and doing it. And the more you do it, the more practice you get, and the better it gets, and the easier it gets as well. All right.
It looks like
We have a couple
Question.
questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shandy's had her hand up for quite some time.
Thanks. My biggest issue with networking is struggling to remember the people that I've networked with. A couple of weeks ago, my school had a really cool cruise event, and I didn't know anyone at my school because it's all virtual, and I decided to go anyways. And I met some really cool people, and I even took some numbers and names, but I have a very hard time with memory. So I'm wondering if anyone has any tricks or tips to kind of make that stronger.
As far as, remembering names, things like that, I don't really have a trick there, because sometimes I struggle with that too. But as far as remembering who you met, things like that, I think one great way to do that is, if you guys shared, if they're like on Instagram, or if they're on LinkedIn, going on there and adding them on there, especially like LinkedIn, because you have all of your contacts there. If it's something that you can do right away, as soon as you meet them, you share your Instagram link with them, or your LinkedIn one with them, and request them as a network on there. That's a great way, because then it's going to store all of those contacts for you. Outside of that, I don't know if I have too many suggestions. I think keeping a notes within your notes app of, who you connected with, maybe typing up a couple notes about that person so you remember like what that conversation was about, right? Because sometimes when you go to things like that, you meet so many people, especially like when we're going to conferences. I meet so many people, and there's so many people that you want to follow up with. So it's really hard to remember what that conversation was. So keeping a notes app with kind of some notes about what you guys discuss, things like that. The other thing too is be purposeful about who you network with and who you keep contact with as well, making sure that it's going to be a meaningful relationship that you'll end up being able to be consistent with and continuously reach out to. I think especially within social media, like on Facebook, you have all of these friends, and like I went on Facebook because I don't go on there very often, but I went on there the other day and there's people on there that I don't even remember adding. But that just goes to show that those probably weren't the type of relationships that I was going to continuously engage with. So be meaningful about, who it is that you're following up with and who it is that you want to follow up with. And I think that might help as well.
Yeah, and Shandy, I know for me, I always put something unique about them, like something I want to remember about them. Because you just put name, where they work, like you want to have that basic information. But if they told me something very unique, and that's helped me with networking, like someone will say, my son plays baseball. So the next time I run into them, I'll say, how was your son's baseball season? So in your notes, and a lot of folks said they do the same thing that we all do. We put it in the notes section of their contacts, but I always put something unique about that person. And even I could say they were tall with blonde hair, or something like that. So if I run into them again, I can try to remember who they were, but I always put a little something unique about them, because that makes it easier to have the conversation. And like Alex said, now I'm building a meaningful relationship because I'm asking them about their family or something. Maybe they say they like baking, like, oh, what have you baked lately? So it'll help you kind of make that connection.
That's a great tip. I love that.
There was one more question, Alex, from Gabriel. She says, should we refrain from networking if we are in a very rough season where it is difficult to be consistent?
I'm not too sure about that, right? Because how do you get out of that rough season, right? Sometimes you have to push yourself and get out of that comfort zone to be able to get out of it and get back into it. If you know for sure that you're not going to be able to be consistent during this time, maybe you're just, and that it happens, right? Life happens, stuff that is outside of our control happens. And sometimes, we can get into a place where we just don't want to interact with anybody. We kind of just want to keep to ourselves, and that happens. And maybe, it's not good to go out there and try and establish a new relationship. Really being, give yourself grace and know when it's time for you to get out there and when you're going to prepare yourself, because it is mentality as well. You have to be mentally into it, because that is what's going to help you stay consistent. So I think it really depends on what your off season looks like. If it's something where you're not in it, then yeah, it may not be able to help you to really establish a meaningful relationship. I hope that helps. Okay, so some networking channels. I mentioned conferences. There's different conferences that you can attend, professional conferences, work events. So if you have an event at work, I can't remember who it was that said earlier that they went on a cruise with their alumni. I think that that's a wonderful opportunity as well. Anything that's going to get you out there to meet new people. Any type of one-on-one sessions, whether it's virtual or in person. The great thing about this virtual environment and having applications like Zoom or Microsoft Teams or really anything else is that you can now network with people that you normally wouldn't network with in your community or in your city. You can network with somebody in a completely different country. So it's a great opportunity to be able to do that, and definitely take advantage of that. Volunteer opportunities are a really great way to network as well, especially if it's a volunteer opportunity that's being hosted by your organization or your school. It's a great way to get to know other people, specifically within your organization, but also you're giving back. So those are always great as well. Online groups. I mentioned Toastmasters, which is amazing. For those of you who don't know, Toastmasters is I like to think of it as a professional development program, but it's a nationwide organization that really helps you with your public speaking. It gets you prepared to be able to get up in front of a group of people and present and really hone in on your public speaking skills. I love it. I think it's great. I mean, I could definitely still use it. But it's definitely a wonderful organization. If you ever have the opportunity to participate, I definitely encourage you to go to do that. If you go to the Toastmasters websites, you can find some clubs in your area. Generally, you can attend, if it's an open club, you can go and you can attend a meeting just as a participant, check it out, see if it's something that you like. And if it is, then it's something, you can decide to sign up for. But I love it. But any type of programs like that are great to not only help yourself grow professionally, but also be able to meet new people and network. And I mentioned LinkedIn and I mentioned Instagram. I do have a
Alex,
video.
we have a question. I want to make sure we don't get too far from her. Angelina had your hand up as well.
Oh, I was gonna point out for somebody had mentioned being on the off season. I used to work as a general manager for an escape room place, and we had our off seasons and our on seasons. One thing I used to use was scheduled emails, touching base. If I had their contact information, if there was like a way that we exchanged contact information through email, I would schedule an email to go out 3 months from the initial part that I contacted them, because maybe our off season is not their off season, maybe it's their busy season, and that's a time for during that off time where we're able to build up some of the information and set up for when we're back on to utilize that networking information. Another thing I've always done was, like, now I've changed complete fields. So I've gone to like a women's conference, collected business cards, names. I wrote notes on those business cards, the date of the event, so that I can go back to my calendar and I can use that date as a memory. Hey, oh, I remember I went to the
Hey,
CUNY's.
Angelina, I don't want to
Yes.
cut you off, but I don't know how much further Alex has.
Oh,
So I want to
sorry. Go
make
ahead.
sure
But
she gets
yes,
finished.
just a matter of just scheduling your
Yeah.
email so that you can keep in contact with them.
Thank you for that suggestion. I like it.
That's great, especially the pre-programmed emails, scheduling those ahead of time. I know Outlook can do that for you, so that's a great tip as well. I did have a video, but yeah, since we are running a little low on time, we won't play it, but I will make sure to share the deck with the team so that way you guys have it. But it really just goes into Instagram, because Instagram is more socialized, right? It's something that we use more for our personal lives, but it can be a great way to network as well, especially because you get to learn about somebody and who they really are through a platform like Instagram. You just want to be careful about it and just be very strategic about how you do it. Even if that means setting up a separate account just for professional contacts, you can do that as well. But it's also a great way to engage with other people and engage with different companies as well, which helps lean into, breaking the ice and sending them a direct message, things like that. But I will share that with the team. It's from the Harvard Business Review. That way you guys can watch it after the session. What I wanted to do, and I don't know if we have enough time now, but I really wanted to do this. And maybe we can take the last 9 minutes to do this. So let me summarize kind of everything that we talked about, and then we can spend the last 9 minutes of this session doing this. But just, with networking, just remember, it's all about creating and maintaining long-lasting, genuine connections. It's about being authentic, being genuine with those relationships. These are people that you could end up being, friends outside of outside of the professional capacity. And it's a great way to find a new mentor. Mentors are great to help you to grow within your career. Take advantage of when those opportunities arise, even if it's about ripping off the Band-Aid like it is for me. But most importantly, remember that it's not just about establishing the relationship, it's about nurturing the relationship, staying in contact with these folks, and just be your true and authentic self. So what I would like to do, and we'll do this as quickly as we can, but I would like for you guys all to go into breakout rooms and network with each other now. Just do a quick elevator speech or pitch, not speech, pitch with your name, your title, and the organization you work for, and then just ask each other like maybe 1 to 2 questions, depending on if you have enough time. Is that something we can do?
Yeah. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
have the breakout rooms already, so.
Great.
And Breezy, can you set a timer? Can you, if you didn't already, set a timer to pull us back in? Because I want to try and get
Okay.
us out definitely at the top of the hour and respect everyone's time.
Okay. All right. Should I go ahead and open them then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me make sure. Oh, never mind. Oh, you got to click on join. It looks like mine popped up. So click
Yeah.
on join and it'll take you in the room.
Just wonder, is Trinidad still here? Trinidad, you still here? I was interested in what you said. You said you've done home health care. How do you like that?
I don't think Trinidad is back. I don't know if she's still in the meeting.
I was in group 4, but my iPad died. Can you guys resend me there?
Sure, we're gonna be in for another minute.
Yeah, no,
Unless
that's
you want to
fine.
hang out with us.
Thank you.
Let me try to. Okay. No,
Thank
I don't
you.
think it's still Monday. Oh, Trinidad is back.
We need to have these trainings longer, these workshops to be just a little longer, just a little bit.
Listen, I know we were like talking to the last second.
Yeah.
Us too.
Do you have, I guess, a closing or wrap up? I do want to say before we do, there is a survey. We want your feedback. Angelina just told us we need to have a little bit more time.
I wrote that in that. I wrote that in the feedback. I said we need longer workshops.
So definitely, I don't know if it gets to that question or if it's open-ended. So definitely, Priya, drop that link in there. And please, everybody, make sure you fill that survey out. So grab that link. Breezy will send it out, so it'll be there.
I put an exclamation at the end of that sentence.
Alex, where you at? I don't see
We're
you.
on
So
the
Alex,
same page, Angelina.
I'm sorry.
Alex, where are you? Do you have any closing
I'm
before we
here.
close out here?
Yeah, I'm here. So thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate being able to come in and join you. I know that 9 minutes is not enough time. I host some speed networking sessions here at work, and I only do them for 15-minute segments. And we do that on purpose because hopefully now you can reach out to that person you just connected with, right? You just went into a breakout room. Hopefully you met somebody new that you want to continue that conversation with, continue that relationship with, set up some time with them, reach out to them, continue that conversation. Now you have a new network, and then they have their network, of course. So take advantage of that. But I appreciate you inviting me here. Thank you so, so much. I will share the deck with Latrina and the rest of the team so you guys have it. But I hope everybody has a safe rest of their day and a safe week.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Now,
Thank
we
you.
don't leave a call. We don't leave a call. Hold on, hold your hope just for a second without a picture. You can't leave without a picture now. If you don't want a picture, then just turn your camera off. But too many beautiful faces on this screen to not take a picture. So Breezy, Tiana, who's going to take it? And we're going to have to shift because it's
We have to
multiple
do
screens.
2.
Okay.
All right.
So you're just going to have to hold it until Breezy says stop smiling. So
Okay. Smile. Okay, and then we're gonna do one more because there's so many of us, which is awesome. And smile. Thank you. Thank you.
awesome. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks,
Don't forget
everyone.
to
Have
do
a
the
great one.
survey.
All right.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks,
Bye.
Dimples. Thanks,
Bye.
Priya. We'll see y'all next week.
Okay.
Thank you all
Take care,
so much.
guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye.